Well, good morning, everyone. And once again, welcome to another live this morning. Nice to have you on with us. And today, I think I can say hello because I have another device. Okay, let's see if you get your notifications. I probably won't see any scroll at all. And I'll see if I can... let's make sure this is off. And that is. Okay. Here we go. Okay. Hey. Hey, I'm getting now. Judy, Sandy, Bonnie, Brahim, I'm seeing the scroll this morning. I don't know why. Norma, Rosalinda, how are you? Bonnie, don't ask me, guys. Don't ask me. Linda, St. Jude, Quebec. Why can I see your names and I haven't been able to for the last... Mary, Anaheim, California, saying hello to Dave and Helga. Grace from Newfoundland. Diane, Peterborough. Kevin. And Mary, how are you? And Gander, Newfoundland. I hear you guys got a lot of snow. True or false? Dan. Carol, West Virginia. Dave from Cardiff. Lily from Ottawa. Milika, Stouffville. Brahim was #1 in the clouds, he said. Elaine, how are you from St. John's, Newfoundland? Karen, Sue, St. Marie. Andrea, you were in the clouds. I think I saw your name. Brenda, Nativity. I was so shocked that my scroll was coming up. Dennis, Bruno, Cecilia from Sudbury. How are you? Karen, Innisfil. Lynn. Lynn can't see the scroll. Francis, I can. From Vaughan. Patricia, good morning. I need a coffee? I already had. Believe me, Nativity. I'm good, Nativity. Thanks for asking. Janice, Yvonne, Petawawa, and Mary, how are you? And Cheryl, West Virginia. Mary, and Karen. Mary says, yeah, Newfoundland, lots of snow. Karen, Coldwater. Kathy, Port Perry. Fran, I missed you. Judy, got a little frog in my throat today. Excuse me, guys. Sherry from Mississauga. Anna. Rhoda. Labrador. You get. Bonjour. Hurst, right? You get. Rose from Brampton. Danny Lay, Iron Bridge. Anna. Anna says she sees the scroll. And Meta. Mary, Keep Breton. Donna, how are you? Nice to have you on. And Kevin, we're all praying for you. You see how many friends you have, Kevin, on this show, right? All your friends. You're the mayor. Luella and Sharon in Kansas and Leah, Diane in Thunder Bay, and Denise, Bon, Matin. We love you guys. Vince, how are you, my friend? And a couple more, guys. Okay. Scroll is has slowed down. Okay, here we go. And I miss Sandy and Sylvia. Rosalinda, did I get you? Bonnie. Norma from Texas. Okay. And yeah, we're all, see, Kevin? We love you dearly. Okay. Anybody have any news at all on Olga? Because we've been praying for her, and I haven't heard anything in the last few days. If you hear anything, can you let us know on our private Facebook group? We've been praying for her. Hi, Faye. Hi, Dave. Hi, Helga. We love you. Thanks for coming on. Douglas, how are you? See, Doug? Douglas is asking about Kevin. Yeah, we love you. Norma. Madeleine, I was waiting on you. And Norma, where's you now? Is she around this morning? Okay, we want to say hello. Doc McEwen, down in West Tennessee. Okay. New study. Okay. So we'll go over some studies this morning. We'll see how, hi, Carrie in Nebraska, Carol in Mount Pearl, Newfoundland. New study in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition. Okay. I love that journal, by the way. New study in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition says people eating 100 grams of sugar a day. Okay. So, okay. 4 grams, about 1 teaspoon of sugar. Okay. So figure out the math. 100 grams of sugar a day, which is well below the average person. 2 times the risk of developing dementia. Okay? American Journal of Clinical Nutrition. Think they made a mistake here? No. And as early as 2005, the link between sugar and the brain has been well established. In 2005, a Nobel Prize was given out in the discovery of type 3 diabetes, which Alzheimer's was called. Now that's sort of been put away from people's minds. I bring it up all the time. I want people to know that sugar is destructive. Okay? You heard it here, and you've been hearing it here for many, many years. As long as I can remember, in my public radio, podcasting, television, writing in books. I don't think I've written one book. Okay? I'm looking at all my books, sir. 20 or, what are we at now? 25 books? Maybe 26 now with our new one, Rebuild Your Temple. I guarantee you I never wrote a book that I didn't talk about the effects of sugar. And the Journal of Clinical Nutrition is saying people eating 100 grams of sugar a day, they got big problems coming down the road in terms of dementia. And again, let's just break it down a little wee bit. The number one problem with sugar is, one, it does not belong in your bloodstream. I mean, empty your 4 or 5 liters of blood. Okay, just empty it out after you've eaten 20 donuts. And you will find an hour later, if you're not a diabetic, so don't do it. You don't need to. It's been done. Your blood sugar will come back to normal. And that is less than a teaspoon of sugar in 5 liters of blood. So people that tell you they need glucose, you don't need glucose. If your body needs glucose, it'll take a steak and turn it into glucose. Okay? You don't need that. You don't need to eat glucose in order for your body to make glucose. And you don't want sugar parking in your bloodstream, because that's detrimental to your blood vessels all over the place. So it doesn't surprise me that had an effect on the brain. I remember reporting in 2005 on my radio show, and this was big news at the time, that there was a link. You know, Alzheimer's, go back to 2005. Okay, did we have Alzheimer's? Of course we did. But not in the numbers that were coming. And it's only gotten a whole lot worse, guys. Like, Alzheimer's, you know, and I've been talking about this for a long time too. Alzheimer's has creeped up the hit parade in terms of the cause of death in United Kingdom, I did this probably 2017, 2018. There was something that came out. I was flabbergasted that the number one killer in the United Kingdom was Alzheimer's. What? It's number 3 in our society in North America. Heart disease, cancer, and Alzheimer's. It's a killer. Who wants that? And really, what this American Journal of Clinical Nutrition is saying, yeah, well, avoid sugar. That's really what they're saying. Sugar's not good because sugar left unattended in blood vessels. And remember, one of the major forms of Alzheimer's dementia is small vessel blood supply to the brain. You don't want any destruction of your blood vessels. And that's what sugar does. The first thing it does. That's why your blood vessels is a no parking zone. And your body knows that because that's why you produce insulin. Insulin takes sugar out of your bloodstream until it can't anymore. That's diabetes. But way before diabetes, you get a condition called insulin resistance, where your cells, because of our diets that are so loaded with carbohydrates, especially simple carbs, like sugar, and anything that turns to sugar rapidly. Remember, they're not even counting that. In the Journal of Clinical Nutrition, they're not talking about they're talking about sugar. So if they read a label and you see you got sugar added to bread, sugar added to ketchup, sugar added to cereals, sugar added to you name it, okay? Peanut butter, whatever. If sugar is added, you know, you look at yogurt, okay? Greek plain, you're still going to have some sugars in there. They're milk sugars. We don't even count that. As long as it's not added sugars. Okay? Because lactose, right? OSE is a milk sugar. Don't even talk about that. And they're not even talking about like whole wheat bread. If there's sugar added, and there usually is, by the way, okay, they count that. But what I'm saying to you is that that bread is going to break down in nanoseconds and turn to sugar rapidly. There's a little bit of protein in there. But it's the sugar that's so destructive. And this is what we try and teach on this program. Listen, guys, I want my memory. Okay? I'm a senior and I pull out my senior card every day. Because if I forget something, I just show them my senior card. Okay? I forgot to do something. It's like my device here. Okay? If things go south on it, I don't know what to do. I pull out my senior card and ask my grandchildren. Right? But so far, my memory is very good. Okay? So far. I don't take it for granted. That's why I protect my brain. I do everything I can. You guys, when you hear me preaching eggs, meat, and cheese, okay? You hear me preaching eggs, meat, and cheese, it's because that's what I do. I live on that stuff, guys. And I'm not saying that I never have, you know, a little eensy-weensy bit of carbohydrates but I don't live on carbs. And I've been trying to teach this for 40 years, the right way to eat. And like I said, I was often in the very slim minority, and I stick to my guns. Why? Because I knew how the body operates. In 1968, my dad told me it's sugar diabetes, my son. Sugar. Okay, I got the memo. Better cut back on sugar, right? Better cut back on sugar. Sugar's a big problem. Sugar destroys blood vessels. Your body knows that, and yet the world doesn't know it. Okay. Study number 1. So, I used to tell my patients this before we get to the next study. Okay? I used to tell my patients this. If you do nothing else, okay? Look at me. Okay? Wasn't it fun in the office for those of you who ever came to see me? Look at me. If you do nothing else, when you leave here today, and you cut back on sugar or cut it out, it's probably the number one thing you can do for your health. Okay? You know that sugar you add to your coffee? Cut it out. Dr. Martin, how can you drink coffee? Well, I said you'll get used to it and you will thank me later. You know, you walk out of a restaurant and you see the little candies in the bowl, leave them alone. You don't need it. I don't? No, you don't. You'll get used to it. You form habits in 21 days. You seal that habit by doubling that time. Like I said, I always tell my dear friend, Dr. McEwen, who's a clinical psychologist, and she teaches it, the professor at the University of West Tennessee, a dear friend to this program, and a friend of mine. And she, I said, hey, Doc, you know what I learned in psychology? Just enough to be dangerous. I took psychology courses. I enjoyed them. But here's what I learned. 21 days to form a habit. I'll never forget that. Right? So I used to tell my patients, you leave here, cut out the sugar. Cut out the sugar. Big, gigantic step towards good health. Boy, that's a good thing to know, isn't it? And I'll tell you, 10s and 20s and 30s and 40,000s of patients and people that heard me on the radio, people that read my books, they did it. We heard feedback. And people say, Doc, I did that. I never realized how much sugar I was consuming. I started reading labels. And I started drinking water. And I had no more fruit juices. And I started drinking coffee without any sugar added. Man, I never thought I could do that. I said, you see? Good for you. And I was always a tire pumper. Okay? I specialized in pumping tires. What? Well, I was an encourager, guys. Okay? I pumped up tires. Hey, you can do it. And good for you. And I'm going to give you a high five, even if I never meet you. Here's a high five. You did it. You know now. And if anybody comes after and you go, Nah, they're not right. Okay? They're not right. So when you hear about diabetes and you know how destructive sugar is, you know it. Now the world out there, they don't know that because they have a hard time with that because the whole raison d'etre of doctors and dietitians and even a lot of gurus is, you know what it is? Moderation. Everything in moderation. No, not sugar. Not sugar. That's not meant for moderation. Okay? You eat an orange, I got no problem with that. Okay? You eat an orange, I got no problem with that. You want to have an apple a day keeps the doctor away. That's not true, by the way. A steak a day keeps the doctor away. Okay? And I know some of you come after me because Doc, I can't eat steak every day, can't afford it. Well, you can have ground beef, can't you? You can have bacon, can't you? I know it's expensive. Make an investment. Cut out the sugar. I know I get on this tangent, but I can't help myself. I see something that is as common sense in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition talking about you want to get Alzheimer's and dementia? Well, Alzheimer's is a form of dementia. Well, eat sugar. Hey, simple. Cut it out. Cut it out. Okay. Got a little froggy this morning. I don't know why. Okay. Let's see. Where is the study number 2? As I look in my notes, large new study, and this is another study on sugar. Okay? Large new study. And they called it a beer belly. Okay? So listen. If you have a beer belly, you know what I mean by that. Okay? We don't talk about that as much as we used to because it's really not a beer belly. It's a sugar belly. Remember when men used to get beer bellies? Well, you see it today in men and women and boys and girls. And it's not beer belly. It's a sugar belly. Listen to this. When someone has a sugar belly, they have changes in their heart structure. So yesterday we talked about changes in heart structure with bad oils, right? Those industrial oils. I've been speaking against that type of oil for almost 50 years. Okay? Because in school, they told me that butter was no good for you. You needed margarine. In school, they taught me that we're cooked with the wrong oils. Shouldn't be cooking with lard or butter, but you should be cooking with vegetable oils. And guys, I never bought it. I never bought it for 1 minute. I never bought that because where this started, and I've done the history with you for a long time, but where like the biggest thing they aimed at first was the breakfast of North Americans. Man, they were smart. Like, you know, if you ever wanted to take a course on marketing, they have to teach this. How the world went stupid. They have to teach this. How the world went saturated stupid. And it was the descendants of Dr. Kellogg's. It was the food industry, especially the people that made Procter & Gamble, that made Crisco. And then they hooked up with one doctor, Dr. Ansel Keys. And they started this whole scam on cholesterol. They started the whole scam. Guys, I watched it happen. Like my grandchildren say, Grandpa, were you born in the days of Noah? Like, how old are you? When I talk about things like this, okay? Because they don't know the history, but I watched the history. I had my father, who was a genius, in my opinion. Son, it's sugar diabetes. It's sugar. It's not fat. It's sugar. And so they wanted to fat, okay? You guys, a lot of you remember this. Fat makes you fat. Fat makes you fat. No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. Okay? And fat, like bacon, think of all the fat in bacon. That's bad because it clogs your arteries. No, it doesn't. Okay? Eggs, better limit. Butter, better limit. Gotta limit it. Because it's going to elevate your cholesterol and it's full of calories and it's going to make you fat. Now, not one thing I said there, right, isn't true. Because that's what they said. They lied. And look, they might have even, I'm not saying there isn't some sincere people there. But they were sincerely wrong. And the whole world went stupid. It replaced the breakfast. They went from bacon and eggs, okay, bacon and eggs, to cereal. And then they started it at the same time. I watched it, guys. They started the fiber nut case stuff. Fiber. Well, cereal, fiber, all brand, fiber. That's better than bacon and eggs. And a whole generation, you got to remember, okay? Go back with me to the 1960s and the 1970s, okay? There wasn't anyone like me going, like John the Baptist in the wilderness going, don't listen, they're stupid, it's not true. Like there was no social media. There wasn't anyone saying, pushing back, and probably there was, but you never hear about it because the mainstream media, they're bought and paid for, guys. They're owned by the pharmaceutical industry and the food industry. And they own the politicians. So the FDA and the NIH and in Canada here, what did they do? They followed suit. They became saturated stupid. Saturated fat. Look at us. Look at the fat around a steak. Okay? That's the one you should get, by the way. That's where all the vitamins are. The fat-soluble vitamins are in the fat. Like, it's like finding a needle in a haystack trying to find full-fat ground beef today, right? Like, I love butchers. I do. Okay? They ought to be put high up on a pedestal. The butchers. Whenever I can talk to a butcher, I say, what did you do with the fat? Okay? They kind of know that fat is good, but, the powers to be. Oh, you better take that fat out. You need lean. Lean. Nah, you don't. That fat is good for you. Ask the Inuit. They know. Fat. Well, that's good. The lean meat, they give to their dogs. Okay? They want the fat. Anyway, back to the sugar belly. Okay? They called it a beer belly. I call it a sugar belly. Okay? It changes the structure of the heart. You can see on the outside, they got a sugar belly. But what you don't see is on the inside, that fat around the visceral fat, around those organs. It changes the structure of the organs. And that has a dynamic effect on the heart. Less blood volume. It changes it. The heart pumps out less blood. You get a larger heart, but not a stronger heart. And that's why, guys, one of the reasons I created the EMC, the reset, the eggs, meat, and cheese. Because eggs, meat, and cheese don't give you any of that visceral fat. Eggs, meat, and cheese don't fill up your liver with fat. That fat is turned to oil. It lubricates. It gives you energy. It's turned into ketones. It's sugar that's turned to fat. And guys, you can be skinny as a rake, by the way. Skinny as a rake. And let me see your numbers, because I can tell you, even if you're skinny, and one of the worst things if you're skinny, okay, is if you don't have any muscle. Because you can have fatty organs and be skinny as a rake. You can have fat around those organs, you don't even know it. You can have a multitude of fat cells packed in around your liver. And you wouldn't even know it because you can't see it. But you get me your A1C, and you get me your triglycerides, and you get me your HDL cholesterol, and I can tell you if you got visceral fat. A large new study. This is guys, it's not groundbreaking because we've known it for a long time, but it just reinforces again that sugar turns to fat. Insulin makes sugar go away, but it doesn't go away, it's stored. And it's stored as fat. So if you got high triglycerides, it's your diet, my friend. It's your diet. You know, I used to look at triglycerides and go, yeah, well, you like your carbs, eh? What? How do you know what I eat at home, Dr. Martin? I just looked at your triglycerides. You like carbs. And by the way, I would tell them, you and carbs don't get along very well. What? Well, I gotta have my fiber. If I don't have all bran, if I don't have, well, I said frosted flakes aren't great. They tell you they are, but they're not. That's how you get fat. That's how kids get sugar bellies. Dr. Martin, it's got a heart on the box. Yeah, you're going to have a heart attack for sure. That's what it means. What? Yeah. You got a heart on the box? You're going to have a heart attack if you keep eating it. Why? Because it changes the structure of your heart. I don't think that's what they intended with the heart on the box. Ooh. Okay. I didn't get to all the studies. I got a couple of more real good ones. Well, maybe we'll do that tomorrow. Okay? Okay, guys, we love you. More than you know. Friday is Q&A. Send your questions in. If you haven't got your book, you can order it. Brand new, hot off the presses. Rebuild Your Tempo. Selling as #1 in Canada. Let's make it #1 in the US of A too. Okay? And we love you dearly, and we'll talk to you soon.